welcome. Thanks for taking the time to come along for this online information session. My name is Callum McGregor. I'm the Programme Director for the MSc in Social Justice and Community Action. And this programme is based here at the Institute for Education, Community and Society at the University of Edinburgh. You can see at the bottom of the slide there, that's the Twitter handle for the programme. So not my personal Twitter handle, but the programme's Twitter handle. So you can always keep an eye on that for any kind of interesting updates about the programme. You can also see my email address there clearly at the bottom of the screen. So do get in touch if you have any other questions. And other than that, we'll just get going. Sorry. So I just wanted to start by giving a quick overview of the programme. Basically, this programme is designed to challenge and support you to foundational and emerging ideas about social justice to real-world practice in diverse contexts. So this includes formal and informal kinds of education, community-based learning. It includes grassroots activism, public policy development, social policy, and organisational management. So it's very interdisciplinary. It's an interdisciplinary programme fundamentally, even though it's housed within the School of Education. And that interdisciplinary context is reflected in the curriculum. We draw on perspectives from critical education, from politics, political philosophy, from critical social policy, and also from sociology. So you'll get a really interesting breadth of disciplines on this programme. Of course, like the nodal point for all of that is social justice and community action. So as you know, the programme, just to clarify, the programme is fully online. It's been designed to facilitate high quality learning in a supportive digital community. You'll also be studying courses that are designed in an institute that's renowned internationally for its expertise in digital education. And the programme has been developed in dialogue with colleagues from the Research Centre in Digital Education. And we've built on best practice from them as well. So does anyone have any questions about that or overview so far before I go any further? Okay, perfect. So I'll just keep going then. And at any time, please feel free to just type a question. And you can even use the little raise hand icon at the bottom of the screen if you want to get my attention at any point. That's helpful too. But likewise, you can just type a question at any point and interrupt me. Okay, so this is supposed to be useful for you. So I don't want to talk too much. I just want to give you a brief overview and then see if that raises any questions for you. The teaching team, let me say a little bit about the teaching team. So the core programme team is drawn from staff in the Institute for Education, Community and Society. And this institute's got a strong reputation for critical, interdisciplinary social science and educational research. So this slide was just really designed to give you a brief example of some of the people who have recently taught on the programme and their academic interests, just to give you a flavour really. On the left-hand side of the slide there, we've got Marlies Kustacher, and she recently taught on the course Activist Social Research. And this is the course that if you're doing the progressing to the MSc, that is doing the applied research project for the Masters, this is a course that you'll have to do. And it's a course really about an introduction to social research that's specifically kind of tailored for this programme and addresses all kinds of practical, ethical and epistemological issues around what it means to do socially committed or quote-unquote activist research. So Marlies has an interest in intersectionality as applied to childhood studies, and she also has expertise in participatory action research with children and young people, and that sits in her broader interest with feminist research. Then we have Pete Evans, and Pete Evans is the course organiser for one of our option courses called Organisational Management for Social Justice. So he has a lot of practical as well as academic experience in organisational management. He worked for a long time is interested in professional learning and the use of digital education in that context of workplace learning. And he has expertise in digital education as well. And then the last example we have here is Margaret Teachy. Margaret Teachy is a close colleague of mine who I also work closely with on an on-campus programme in community learning and development. And Margaret has probably close to 30 years practical experience working in the field of community development. And she is the course organiser for a compulsory course that you'll do in semester 2 called Community Engagement, Co-Constructing Knowledge with Communities. So her expertise with practical, professional and academic are in the following areas: participatory and deliberative democracy, and community development and community action, and specifically the role of education in that context. So how does education articulate with an interest in community development and community action for social justice? So hopefully that gives you some idea of the varied kind of interdisciplinary interests that you would encounter and experience in our programme. And of course, then there will be different people in the programme when you actually start, including these programmes, but there'll be others too. So I'll just pause again here for a second. Would you like me to just continue, or do you have any questions that emerge from that? Okay, so if questions do arise, then please, as I said before, just interrupt me. Use the hand icon at the bottom, or just type your question. So let me just say a little bit about the programme structure now then. So if you've been online, so first let me just say actually, hopefully you'll have had a look and you'll have read a lot about the programme on the school web pages. Maybe I could provide the link in the chat stream down the right hand side. Oh, there we go. And that has a wealth of information. We have, if you're interested, have accounts of previous students, so alumni profiles. So you can learn a bit about their experience on the programme. You can learn about the different options that are available to you within the programme structure. There's all kinds of information there. So that would be your first port of call really to get information. And then if that raises questions for you down the line, then as programme director, I'm always more than happy to try and answer your questions, just so that you know. Oh, we've got somebody that just dropped out, but I'll just continue on. The programme structure has 3 compulsory courses. These are the Theories and Politics of Social Justice. That's the first course that you would do if you started with us in September. That basically is a primer, a foundational course, and as it says, the theories and the politics of social justice. So welcome back to the session. I'm just saying a bit about the programme structure. So the first course you do is Theories and Politics of Social Justice. It's really split into 2 different parts. The first part of the course is about the theories of social justice. So we explore foundational theories of social justice, looking at the theories of distributive justice from liberal, social democratic, and also Marxist perspectives. Then we move on to look at recognition, and social justice is recognition. We often draw on Nancy Fraser's distinction between distribution, recognition, and representation on this programme. And so we explore those foundational debates and ideas around social justice. Then we move on to explore contemporary or emerging areas of social justice. This year, what we're going to look at is climate justice, and we're also going to look at data justice. And then the final third of the course really applies all these theories of social justice to the contemporary politics of social justice and kind of perennial debate about the different ways in which social justice is achieved. So that's a little bit about that first course. The second compulsory course you do in semester 2 is Community Engagement, Co-Constructing Knowledge with Communities. And that course is a critical introduction, if you like, to working with communities and engaging with communities in a respectful way, and analysing kind of power relationships in that kind of context. And as well as, so it combines theory with practice, of the theory and practice of community engagement, community development, and community action. You'd be asked to reflect on and bring in your own experience to all of these courses, actually. And so, for example, the assessment on that particular course is a good example of what we talk about, what we call constructive alignment, in the sense that the assessment doesn't just align with what's being taught in the course, but it also aligns constructively with your own interests, your own professional interests, or your own activist interests, for example. So the assessment on that programme is about designing a portfolio of work with with a particular community and particular purposes in mind. So for some people, they're already working in that context, and that's something that can directly apply to their work and help people to critically reflect on the work that they're doing or that they might be planning. For others, the exercise is a bit more speculative, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of an example of how we approach assessment, which is that we will try to make that connection all the time between theory and practice. So that cuts across all of our courses. The third course that you do is third compulsory course that you would do eventually, if you want to do the Masters, is Activist Social Research. I said a little bit about that already. The assessment is actually to produce a research proposal, and normally that research proposal goes on to be the foundation for your dissertation or your applied research project. The dissertation or applied research project is the last big piece of work that you would do to graduate with the Master's qualification, and you would do that once you've gained 120 credits on this programme. So to get to that stage, you obviously need to do the compulsory courses, but then there are a plethora of other optional courses from across the university's online provision. And so examples of that would be Introduction to Learning for Sustainability, or the Politics and Theories of International Development, but there's a lot more, and you can get a flavour of that on the web pages. What you can also do is do some research yourself from across the university's online postgraduate provision, and if you find something that looks interesting, approach the course organiser directly, and our students have done that quite frequently. The internal option courses that you might take, that is option courses that belong to this programme specifically, are the following: Policy Analysis for Social Justice. So that's really a critical introduction to policy analysis and policy advocacy for social justice. Particularly, we employ feminist policy analysis perspectives and apply ideas and tools like critical discourse analysis to social policy. We also have organisational management for social justice, and we also have a course in learning for democracy. So those are three optional courses that you can do. Does anyone have any questions from all of that? I'm just going to continue on, and I'll let you think about that as I continue on. Please interrupt me if you have questions. So let me say a little bit about student study patterns. So the programme is fully online and it's part-time. There is no one route to that works. There's no one size that fits all, basically, on this programme, and it's designed to be flexible. And the online part of delivery is essential in making that happen. So basically, students make use of synchronous spaces and asynchronous spaces, which means you can study around your own commitment. Asynchronous space, an asynchronous teaching and learning space just basically means things like discussion forums, so you can come in and join in a text-based discussion, and you can share files or videos or any of that sort of stuff. But it's essentially text-based discussion where you can just go on and contribute at any kind of point in time where it works for you throughout the day or the working week. We also use blogging. So, for example, in the theories and politics of social justice, there's an expectation that you would be doing reflective blogging on the themes every week, and you would have formative feedback from a blog tutor every week. And that's, again, something that you can do on your own terms. We would also do pre-recorded lecture inputs and have broader group conversations with people who have particular kinds of expertise or experience in the field of practice and academically. So we might produce like audio podcasts that you can at any time. So we make use of all these different kinds of tools so that you can fit your study around your own commitment. So the quickest that you can do the master's qualification is 2 years because it's a part-time course. There's a 2 to 6 year route that you can sign up for. If you are looking for student loan funding from the UK, there's a 3-year route now that you can sign up for. And that route makes you eligible for student loan funding. So that's just if that applies to anyone in this kind of context. Now, there are also 3 routes that you can sign up for. There's a postgraduate certificate, which is 60 credits, and you can do that over 1 to 2 years. There's a postgraduate diploma, so that's basically doing everything but the dissertation. That's 120 credits, and you can complete that between 2 and 4 years. And then finally there's the master's, so 180 credits, and that's the one that is between 2 and 6 years. And our students on this program really have covered that breadth. So we've had some who have shot through 2 years, and some now who are really going into their 6th year of study, who are going to currently completing their dissertation. So really, it depends on you. It depends on the amount of commitment that you can put into the program, and that will differ for everybody. But we recommend normally, as a rule of thumb, that people take no more than 1 to 2 courses per semester over the 2 to 6 years. In terms of time commitment, you'd expect approximately 24 hours of lecture contact time for a 20 credit course, although these kind of figures are normally worked out for on-campus courses, and so things are a little bit different in the online world. Contact time could come in the form of lecturers and tutors being in asynchronous discussion forums, facilitating discussions there and giving feedback. It could come in the form of feedback on blogging. It could come in the form of synchronous discussion sessions online, or it could come in the form of pre-recorded lectures. So you kind of get the picture there. It could come in all kinds of forms. Time commitment for you, really, that's about between 15 and 17 hours a week. And that, obviously, it's likely to, you see a spike in time commitment towards the assessment time. So students will be a lot busier sort of getting into kind of November towards the end of the semester when you've got to start thinking about writing up and doing your assignments, whatever they mean. So I will continue on, and do let me know if you have any questions from any of that. I already said a little bit about the approach to teaching and assessment, but let me just reiterate that. So basically, our starting point is really taking seriously the digital medium and the ways in which the digital medium profoundly changes the context for learning. There's a little picture on the top right-hand corner of the slide there, and this slide is really something that inspires us on this program, and it's the manifesto for teaching and learning online, or something to that effect. And this is something that's been produced by students on the MSc in Digital Education, which is also based in this institute. And I find it a really inspirational thing because it challenges a lot of the assumptions that we make, or that we often have, about what it is to learn online, and the ways in which we kind of think often that online is somehow an alternative that's not quite as authentic or as good as being kind of on campus, or some of the kind of assumptions we make about the sort of capacities and skills and dispositions that people who are good at learning online have. This kind of document really troubles some of those things. That argues that online can be the privileged mode, that that we think about the different modalities of teaching and assessment, that there's no one way to do things online, but it deeply depends on context, that we can think differently about assessment when we're working in online spaces. You know, so we take all these things seriously when designing programs. And really, we try to use the digital space to build meaningful, supportive relationships, really to build a supportive digital online community to facilitate critical analysis. And I think this program works best sometimes when really we can take common academic ideas and students apply them to your own particular context. And we have these great internal conversations where people are working in all these fantastic different areas and different geographical and political contexts. And we're talking about these, chewing over these common ideas really together and thinking about what they mean when they're applied in these different contexts. What's different about, what's different when we apply them to another context. And in that way, students learn from each other. I think that's really good. And another thing to highlight again is this key principle of productive alignment with practice. So the bottom right-hand picture really is an example of that. So on the option course policy analysis for social justice, for example, we have a two-part assignment. So first part of the assignment is to produce a policy briefing. So the idea is that rather than write a big long academic essay, we're testing your knowledge in a different way. So we're actually asking you to take the academic learning that you've done and try to apply it by writing a briefing as though you were writing it from the perspective of somebody within a specific organisation. You're trying to influence power holders, you're trying to influence policymakers or a specific audience, or the general public even. And then the other part of the assignment is working together with students online to produce a policy advocacy campaign. And students have produced all kinds of interesting digital artifacts there for assessment, like videos and like YouTube-based animation. So that's just a little bit about the approach to teaching and assessment. Let me say about the program environment. So our main program environment is Moodle. This is the main virtual learning environment that we use for teaching and learning. When you start the program, you'll get a welcome induction. You'll get certainly a welcome email from myself, from Victoria, our program secretary. There'll be a program handbook, and there will be a range of introductory videos and resources that are produced here locally in the school for you, but also that are produced in the wider university for online distance learning students. A range of materials to help you start the program smoothly, and we use Moodle for all our teaching spaces. It doesn't require any particular IT skills or any specific kind of like digital expertise at all. We use a range of media, synchronous and asynchronous learning spaces. So we use Blackboard Collaborate sometimes for live sessions. So from some tutorials, that's where you can, this is where you are at the moment, Blackboard Collaborate. We're here. So hopefully like this gives you a flavor of what that can be like. In a tutorial session, if we were doing this on the program, of course, depending on people's bandwidth, etc., you can choose to use your audio and your video, and people frequently do, and then we can just have a conversation as though we were on Skype. We'll use pre-recorded lectures, we'll have podcasts, discussion forums, and a whole bunch of different approaches. So I've already said a little bit about this, so this is an example, would be blogging. So in theory and politics of social justice, the personal blog plays a key role in learning and assessment. So you'd be expected to engage with key course themes every week, writing reflective blogs. you'd be assigned a blog tutor and you get formative feedback every week. And that feeds forward to the final assessment, because the assessment is partly about negotiating an essay with the course organiser on a topic of your interest that relates to the key course themes. And then the other part of the assessment is taking between 5 and 7 of your favourite blog posts together. And what you're able to do therefore is to incorporate some feedback from your blog that you got throughout the course into the assessment. So moving towards the end of this presentation, let me just say a couple of things about our students. So who are our students? Who is this programme for? And so this list is really not exhaustive at all, but just to give an example, our students have been and are, in some cases, teachers, community development workers and community educators. In the Scottish context, often we talk about community learning and development as a discrete professional area of practice. So people who are youth workers, people who are working in community development or community workers, and people who are involved with community-based adult education. We also work with grassroots community activists and advocacy workers. Quite often our students have been from the third sector. We've also had people who are involved with social policy, so who actually are involved in shaping social policy in their own particular context. And we've also had university lecturers, so so we've got a whole range of experience and expertise, and it makes for a really vibrant learning environment. So students have studied from all kinds of, from many different places, and again, there are some examples here, and the list is not exhaustive. But you can see that in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Those are just some countries, not all of them, but some countries that our students have studied from. And I guess our students are split into two main groups. So mid-career professionals who really value the flexibility of being able to study like this online on a programme that's really about the connection between theory and practice, which encourages students to critically reflect on how the academic ideas that they're studying help to illuminate their own practice. And then there's the recent graduates who have an interest in social justice and social change as well. So I guess our students can broadly be divided into those two main groups. So in terms of what our students say, you can get some of this information on the web pages. But here's just a couple of examples. So, as I mentioned before, you can you can sign up to different pathways, the postgrad certificate, the diploma, or the master's. And people do that obviously for different reasons, depending on their interests and learning needs. And this is an example here. So Sarah Nimmo had a really great experience on this program, signing up for the postgrad certificate. She talked about how the content gave her new and varied perspectives on policy issues and implementation, and helped her to articulate a viewpoint and translate that into a coherent argument. And those are skills she uses in her current job. On the other hand, we have Sam, who's a recent graduate of ours and did the full MSc, and she really valued, given that her job and that she was highly mobile, she really valued the fact that she had this program where she could log in from all these different countries, and as she puts it, also airports in between, and still not have her studies be interrupted. And she thought that was really valuable, and that allowed her kind of having a coherent experience regardless of where she was studying from. So that's a real benefit of this program, I think. In terms of entry requirements, so the usual entrance requirement for postgraduate study here is a UK 2-1 degree or its international equivalent in a subject with some relevance to the chosen programme. But we also, because of the nature of this programme, this comes with important caveats. So this programme really values professional experience and practical experience, whether that's voluntary or paid. Whether that's working in some of these areas, for example, whether that experience is in teaching or in policy making or in grassroots community activism, advocacy work, we value that experience. And so if you're worried, for example, that your academic qualifications don't quite match that entry standard, it's important that I reiterate that we do consider experience alongside your academic qualifications. So if you've got any specific inquiries about qualification or the admissions process in general, definitely the best thing to do is your first protocol is to contact admissions directly, and the information is at the bottom of the screen there. So you have the telephone number and the email address for admissions, and hopefully they'll be able to answer your inquiries about admissions efficiently. So really that's it. I don't want to say any more. I think I've covered quite a lot of ground actually. So let me just be quiet and you can think about if you've got any questions that arise from all of that. Right, okay, so Daniel's question. Assuming 20 credits per course, could you complete the MSc in 3 years doing one course at a time? You have to quickly do that with you. So you'd have, yeah, so one, I'm taking you mean one course per semester, so you'd have 40 credits after year one. You'd have 120 credits after year three, not including the master's qualification. So to complete the MSc in 3 years, at some point in there, you'd have to be doing 2 courses, and that would probably get you there. But you wouldn't always have to do two courses. Okay, so hopefully that's a helpful answer. But we can sit down and you can work out study plans. I could also put an important caveat that certain courses are only offered, during semester 1 or semester 2. So Adjoa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. You could please correct me if I'm making a butcher's job of that. Anyway, so you're asking if you enroll in the cert level, but eventually want to continue to the diploma or master's, is that possible? So yeah, that is completely possible. I should probably add another piece of information that may be useful, is that this program is invoiced at course level. So you don't have these big lump sum payments. The biggest lump sum payment you'll have in this program is eventually when you do the dissertation, because it's a 60 credit course, so the course fee reflects like 3 times what normal course fee costs. But you're invoiced one course at a time, so invoiced at course level rather than paying for everything up front. So the other thing I'd maybe say is that if you are unsure of what you want your exit point to be, then what some students have done before is that they just sign up for the masters, and then it's up to you when you exit. So you can sign up for the masters, and then you still have that flexibility to say, maybe in the after the first year, you've maybe done 3 courses and you want to exit with the certificate, then that's fine. So it really just depends on what suits you. So that could be something to consider there for you, is that you maybe sign up for the masters, you pay at course level, and then you're enrolled on that pathway. So that's administratively, that's you enrolled, but then really it's up to you at what point you want to exit. So hopefully that's clear. No problem. So are there any other questions, or should we just move towards wrapping this up? That's great. I'm glad I've been able to do that. So nothing from Daniel. Perfect. That's great. I can. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, it was great to meet you both. Hopefully you'll consider joining us on the